The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Good evening, everybody. I hope everybody had a decent fortnight, especially after the roller coaster ride that we've been all having. Again, I have to point out, first, this is just general investment advice, not personal advice. As the disclaimer points out, I am an authorised rep of Mortgage in General, and there is the AFSL number as required by law by Mortgage in General, and my also license number under their AFSL number. So without further ado, we'll just move on from there. We'll start going over to the other screen. We'll cover, as usual, the Dow and S&P, gold. We'll do oil today, XJO, and we'll go to the requests of the stocks that I've been given and the Aussie dollar. If based on time, if anyone wants anything else done, just let us know and we'll go from there. Okay, let me just switch over my screen. Okay, now I've got straight into the Dow Jones. Again, I might have to move a little bit slower if I do go a little bit too fast. If somebody can sort of point out, using the questions or comment section there, or put the hand up on something. What happens is I'm still looking at one screen. My other laptop died, unfortunately. I thought there was just a problem with the video, but it looks like it's just died. So I don't have the other laptop that I normally use to see as I switch screens that it appears on that. So unfortunately, you're going to have to let me know if I move a little bit too fast between screens. Now, I'm still using the old Phoenix here. I was actually going to use the new one. I've said that 2 weeks in a row now. And what's happened in between is that I had some requests if I can actually look at the options and just how to use, how to access the options calculator, and also using, so when you're looking at the options series and you want to say, well, what's my calculation here? How do I do it? Now, with the new one, it does have all that, and I could have used the new one for that. Unfortunately, it requires on the new one to be Windows 7 and above, and I'm still running Vista on my desktop, and the reason I've been running Vista is to make sure any clients that are using anything below Windows 7 that I can test and it still works. But as I found out, running the new piece of software requires Windows 7 and above. And unfortunately, my options, because of this particular graphic package that it uses, unfortunately needs minimum of Windows 7. So I'm using the old version because of it. Anyway, let's move on. I've got the Dow up, and look, as we can see, we're looking at a monthly chart. Nothing's going to really change within 2 weeks unless there's an extremely sharp fall. Okay, now even if I just zoom in to the right-hand side of the scale, okay, and just take auto size off to have a look. Look, here we are there. You can see it has broken out, even on the monthly, out of the rising wedge. All right, we can't amend this rising wedge really any more than what we have. We can make it tighter, but that's about it. We can't make it wider. If we take it wider, what we're going to start looking at is really this, just as an example to demonstrate. We're down to the low there on the close. So to make it, might want to go out to this one here. Even if we go out to this one here and touches there, touches almost a touch, still considered a touch, we're still outside its bounds. Okay, so we can confidently say that we are outside the bounds of this rising wedge. Now, generally speaking, what that represents, the bull is over. Okay, what can happen from here is sidewards to down. Now, normally in the past, what we had rising wedges, we saw downturns. Okay, but because this market, what it is, and there's a lot of money in it, let's be realistic. You had all this money that's gone into it between, the people's money, as I call it. The basically Reserve Bank of America just printed money, gave it to the banks, and you can guess where it's gone. It's pretty much mirrored it anyway. So really, there is still a lot of money in and out. Are they taking it fully out and putting it back? I honestly don't know. But what I do know, this thing's been held up for, a lot of people will say unrealistic reasons. The bottom line is it's there where it is. We trade what we see, not what we think. Now, what we can confidently say out of this, the rising wedge is broken, means the bull phase of this is over. Can it go back up and create a double top? Absolutely can. Okay, but what we can confidently say, this market is sideways to down, and we, from what experience I have over, I'm 56 and I've been in this game since my early 20s, and I can just going through old experience, this sideward motion can be there for many, many months. Okay, many, many months. Not saying this is going to do, but I'm saying it can. So we say sideways to down. If we look at a weekly chart, we'll go to weekly now, we can demonstrate that very clearly. Okay, as you can see, we can see that there's a sideward. It can go. We can see we've done a lower target, and what we said, if the price closes below this line here, we expected it to go there. That was from our last basically webinar. And we might have even said that even before that, but definitely from the last webinar. Now, it has not, as we can see, tested it a number of times, but it has never closed below. So it is still in this sideward motion, okay? Now, also realistically, okay, this can be considered, because remember, this is weekly, and how many bars have we got there? If we go from this top formation here to the current bar, we are 23 weeks. Now, we normally say at 26 weeks, we need probably as a minimum to make it anything really relevant. If it's 26 weeks, it can also be considered as a head and shoulders, by the way. This being the shoulder, that's been the head, that's been the shoulder. Okay, and of course, this being the neckline. We can't say it definitely is until it actually breaks. Okay, until it actually breaks. Also, we can say this is a consolidation phase, and it's pretty much a double top. There's a top, here's another top. More than enough, okay, for that. So if it comes back up here, then we'll call it a triple top. So we trade what we see, as I said, not what we think. Can it go higher? Look, if it really wants to, they can put up enough money, they can do whatever they want. But the bottom line is we only trade what we see, and these are at tops. Now, why would it go much higher if it did? If it did break up, you've got to be realistic. Their PEs are quite high, so how much higher can they go? Price to earnings, okay? So it's more logical sideways to down. So if you're going to trade this, the Dow, you trade it for very, very short term. I will look at it more of an intraday basis than anything else. Let's have a look at the daily. And here we are on the daily. These are the last lines that we've done. I think we had this one the previous time. And look, we had that consolidation. See, actually the daily closed below, but it always goes back above. And these down moves, and that was initially from this pattern, potentially, and it does, this pattern, by the way, exists. So what we got is this solid line going this way, right? And this line going that way. That pattern is basically an ascending triangle. The price broke below, retested, made a lower low and a lower low, and this still be considered a lower high because there's a high, there's a lower high, and guess what? This is still a lower high. And there's a lower low. So anything's still possible. Yes, it can come down to these areas. But it is very, very messy, okay? This line here now, it really, for what it did, is irrelevant, okay? It's totally irrelevant. Just want to test something out here. If I went from here and I went across there, does it touch anywhere? And yeah, it does. There you go. All right. So we have 1, 2, 3 touches. Now, what am I going to use this line for? The only thing I can really use it for is support, nothing else. It really doesn't add any other value whatsoever. And yes, we can actually remove these 2 targets because they're useless to us there now. So what am I really saying, short and curlies? Okay, we got resistance, really what we clearly know is right there, and what we really clearly know, there's support. And we are making a lower low here. So for lower lows, lower highs, definitely fits the bill. But that's all. We do not have anything else. The next support line, of course, is down these areas here. Okay, that's all we can honestly say looking at the Dow Jones. I myself cannot see anything else at this point of time, and we really just got to take it easy and let it show its cards, what it's prepared to do. And anything you do is really second guessing it at this point of time. Again, if I was looking for position trades in the Dow, I would not even consider it. Right, now, I don't know what the individual stocks are doing in regards to this, but I wouldn't consider it at all. The next one I will look at is S&P 500, which is .inx.gmk. And are we expecting really anything really different than the Dow, honestly? We can confidently say, looking at this bottom support line, we're still inside the rising wedge in this case here. There's the top of the rising wedge, and there's the bottom of the rising wedge. We're still inside. If we look at it a bit closer, maybe, we might gauge a little bit more data. And there we are there. We're right on the lines, okay? If you look at it on the weekly, we're still going to see this consolidation period. Okay, let's have a look. This does not give us any more data. That's all it does, okay? We go to the weekly, and as we can see, really pretty much what the Dow was showing. There's on the weekly, it has broken. On the weekly rising wedge, the monthly one's still intact, okay? But the weekly demonstrates clearly it has broken and clearly is in a sideward motion. And there is no head and shoulders here because this top is equal to that top, but what we can confidently say, this is definitely a double top, okay? In fact, you know, if this is within 5%, I haven't calculated, if it's within 5% of this high, it can still be considered a triple top. Like I said, I haven't calculated that out at the moment, but we can consider that, okay? So we can't really say any more than that. It is in a sideward trading mode, and it's been sideways now for pretty much 23 weeks also, okay? So 23 weeks it really hasn't been doing much. So let's go to daily. And now looking at the daily, what does it give us anymore? Absolutely not. Again, we can see we try to look at this triangle up here and test, but it's gone back to the top there. So myself, what it does tell me, this line now, it really is irrelevant. This line is true and effective, okay? If I was to maybe do anything to see, I would just do that. And ideally, I shouldn't be putting this line in yet, realistically. I'll put it there for the hell of it, but this is not enough of a move down. We need to have at least a 5% swing in order to say, now I don't think that's a 5%. What is it? Where we go to here? From its high there, it's 2,113. 2088, definitely not a 5% swing. But I'll just leave it there for now to say this is what it's doing in case it comes down there. But it's not something that I'll be confident in. If it breaks down below, you can say, okay, it's effective. But again, this is in consolidation phase here, and that's the next consolidation phase. So again, looking at the S&P 500, no different to the Dow. Useless to us. So that takes care of those two. Let's have a look at gold next. Oops, wrong one first, sorry. As we can see with gold, you can see our target clearly. We've set it, I don't know how long ago. I don't think it was in the last webinar. I think those targets, if it broke up or broke down, would have been some months now. They've been sitting there, so we haven't altered them. Depends which way it'll break. So again, we did have a mesh tail, and this is part of a mesh tail. We said that could be. It's broken below it. I'm expecting gold to go lower. Now that it's broken below, closed below these support areas, I'm expecting gold to go lower based on the monthly, and these are my targets between 919 up to 972. Let's look at the weekly. You can see the weekly mare's tail, and we hit a particular point, and this is the next target down. Basically, it's telling me it's got lower prices to come. I will be looking, how do I take advantage of this? How do I short this? Okay. In order to enter the next trade, I would want to see something here. Now, is this making I'll just remove this a little bit so we can see better. Is this making a pennant? I don't know yet, but time to watch it very closely. Now, we're near the end of this week, so this is a weekly, so a new bar is going to begin. Now, if that's a pennant, right, I'll be doing a second target if it's a pennant, so we have to really wait and see. But primarily, it can be all the way from here, and I'll go to the lowest body in this case at the moment, and I'll go break out there. What would you do? Oh, sorry. Let me have a look again. Do it again. Start again. Target. There you go. Back to around the same levels, as you can see there. Around the 970 mark, a bit lower. So that means if that becomes a pennant and it breaks down from here, it confirms these targets. Okay? I'll just remove it to make it clean. I'll just take the one I just did off. Okay, there it is there. So we can see that will actually show us a lower move down. Now, if that happens, have a look. What stocks are going to get affected? Is Newcrest Mining going to get affected? Now, remember, this is in US dollars. Okay, gold is in US dollars here. So is the currency going to go lower? If it goes lower, what does it do for our companies? If the currency bounces up, what does it do for our companies? Just for the record, I think the Aussie dollar's bottomed out anyway from where it is. So I see it more bit of upside than downside here. So anyway, we'll discuss it when we get to it. Let's have a look at the daily. Now, we can see there's the mare's tail, and there's the target that it hit as we originally had quite a while ago, if I remember correctly. Now, again, if we put auto size on, just see it. No, take that off. I think what we're doing is this. That's the pennant that we were looking at, okay? So if this now takes another further fall down, the actual target on the daily, you'll be taking it from here because that's the last swing that we had, okay? And if I'll do the target, but I will remove it. So we go from here to the lowest body to its breakout roughly. Did I just do it? Oh, there it is, sorry. You can see what we're talking about is under $1,000, under 1,020. So purely from that perspective, that's what we're looking at, okay? I'll just remove that now because we don't know if that's a penny yet, okay? So that's just an estimate. But if it is, that's the next target for gold on a daily. Okay, so far, out of the three things that we've just done, the only promised thing I see is gold. The rest I see still sideways more than anything else. Okay, now, let's move on. Now, we'll go and have a look at oil. We'll look at Brent at the moment. Where are we, Brent? I can't really do anything on the daily because, as I said in the past, with a daily, I only get, even though it's live, I don't get an open, high, low, close throughout the day. I only get a last sale, and sometimes you can get so many bad prices, you get all the spikes and all that, so we'll just leave it as that. However, for the weekly, we can convert dailies to weeklies and monthlies. We can do something about that. Now, looking at the monthly, you can see these targets I've had here for quite a long time. Okay, we've had this, almost 3 months ago. We put this like that, and there's our target. And that's from a continuation target. These targets also were done right across this particular pattern. And as you can see, I've got targets all the way down to $22 for the oil. Is it going to get $22? I'm not sure. Based on the pattern that we have and we're working on, I'm confident or comfortable to say, look, we're going to see a 3 in front. I'm pretty comfortable with that. Again, not personal advice, please. All right, this is technical analysis, and we trade what we see, not what we think. And based on, as I say, my past experience in technical analysis and these type of formations, I believe we will see a 3 in front of the oil price. Now, I'm confident with that, as I've said in the past. Go to weekly, same pattern. As you can see, this is I use it as a triangle, and that's its target there. So this is its next target. That was its initial target off the pattern, and as you went through, and this is what we got, and this is where we are. Okay, right, let's move on. There's really nothing much I can actually add to that, by the way, so I'll do the XJO at the moment. Now, going to the monthly. Remember what we did in the last webinar? We basically said this is a potential, it can be a potential flag if it stays within this, within these lines. And what we've got is a potential breakout that's happening, but again, this is a monthly chart, and it technically has to close above this line for this month. Okay. Now, if I was to add in another supporting here, this is an accelerated trend at this point, and when we add this accelerated trend, potentially, regardless what happens, this is going to be our top resistance point if it accelerates. So, am I expecting it to go higher? Look, I'm expecting it to go a bit higher, maybe to here. Is it going to go to the top here? I honestly don't know. At this point, this is not the best flag, even though it's half reasonable. But if you look, it comes down a fair way. Okay, when you draw your line to here, so it's down to its limits. Okay, so if it comes up, I'm expecting it to at least come here. Maybe look, it might even do a double top. We don't know yet. But if it comes to here, then breaks away and down, we can technically have also shoulder, head, shoulder. So it might just do something to make a shoulder. We do not know yet. But I'm stressing the point, if you're looking for a reasonable position in here, ask yourself, why would I go much higher than the previous high, or maybe just before? Why would it go higher than those? What's the return? You know, at the end of the day, it's got to be based on some value. Yes, it goes above and below certain values, but not extremely. Okay, what's it got going for it? If the dollar comes lower, yes, it will attract more foreign investment. Yes, it will push our stock market. But again, if the stock market's well priced in, why would it do that? And as I understand, it's reasonably priced in anyway. If we look at the weekly, okay, here we are. We had a target off that, and it came pretty close to the target, but we also said this is major resistance, and it has to close below this resistance to give it any credible weight, okay? Any credible weight. And it did not close, as we can see above. It tried it twice, but failed, and therefore, even though this is where our target was, we said this is our brick wall. Now, what have we got now? Well, looking at this, we need to be extra careful here, because let's have a look closely. Okay, where are we? I'm not actually showing it very clean this way. Maybe I'll refer back to where it was. Okay, this makes it look better. In other words, what I was trying to work out, is this a potential opposite? Like so. Is this a bullish flag? If it is, and I use the word if, that's got to close above these lines, by the way. Remember, on a weekly bullish flag or pennant, you need a minimum of 2 bars. We do really have 3 in here. 1, 2, 3, and obviously the tail. This makes it 4. So if this red candle for the week managed to close this up above this line the end of this week, we have a bullish flag. Okay, now the target would be to that level. Now, if it does that, and remember, I went to part of an extreme, I went all the way to these lows. Okay, now what we have, this level, where are we here? There's the top. So that brings us smack in the middle to the previous top. Now, will it do it? Truthfully, I don't know. What I will be looking at this. What can make this go up higher? You know, what stocks? I mean, we're talking about the XJ here, which is the top 200 stocks, and usually the top 20 will actually drive it anyway. What did we say last time years ago? I think the top 20 made up about 60 or 70 or higher % of the XJO anyway. So look at the top 20. What have they got going? Now, we're going to be looking at some of the top 20 anyway, based on the request. So we'll have a look at that. How far can it really, really go? Okay. Again, this mightn't be a flag. We don't know yet. It's got to close above those lines by the end of the week. Okay. So that's weekly. Let's have a look at daily. Okay. Now, we were in the channel. The price targeting breaking out of the channel is here. All right. It could still be very valid, by the way. So we don't know as yet. So what we can do is go to this line, draw to the bottom low, higher, and let's remove that. We really can't do much more than that unless these lines might add up, actually. Just have a look at that. Oh, that's interesting, isn't it? Well, we're looking at consolidation, see if it breaks through here. If it breaks through here, then we can do one more target. And I use the word if it breaks on the upside through there, we can do this. And back to this point here again. Okay, anywhere between those. Now, that's an extreme move. If you want to look at more conservatively, you really got to be doing this. Okay, oops, a bit lower. All right. That's more conservative, and that means the target's going to be then from here to there to a breaking point there. It's lower, back confirming this target. I would rather do that than try to, and if it does go there, I don't want anyone trying to squeeze this last little bit, and it actually, that's where it reverses somewhere in this area. And that's a conservative target. I'll just remove that now. I think it's more than enough. So that basically we're talking about the same level. Now, what would drive this? Again, I would say have a look at your top 20, and we're going to start right now. In fact, again, I've been requested to do the top banks from ANZ, Westpac, Macquarie, and CBA, and so forth. Let's do those first. Let's start off with ANZ. Now, let's go first to monthly, and let's have a look. We can see ANZ has broken from the rising wedge down. So it's telling us we really have hit, you know, pretty much hit the tops, and this is down and probably retesting its its resistance here. So it's retesting resistance. Now, what value is the top of this resistance? If we get our crosshair, oops, get the arrow and do that again. See, if we go just to the top, we're talking about potentially can actually go all the way up to 33.94, currently sitting at probably around 32.60 or so. Technically, it can actually go $1.30 on the upside, okay? And that's basically still be within its limitations. Now, $1.30. Now, if all the banks went up roughly, you know, if they have the same scenario as an example, you know, there'll be some variations, obviously. But if they actually do that, can they drive that target on the XJO? That's what you've got to ask yourself. And if they got the same, yes, they can. That's the point I'm trying to make before any downturn could start. Okay, so this is telling me the bull is over on the banks. Can it go higher? Let's have a look. Here we are looking at a weekly version, and looking at this weekly, yes, you can see we can make a shoulder, we can get a head, we can get another shoulder. Okay. What else can we do? Well, we've got a line going that way and a line going this way. Well, that's actually a horn also, which is also reversal. Here's your line going this way, the bottom support. Now there's your brick wall. Now, we don't have to call it a head and shoulder. We can remove that because it's only when it actually breaks down below then we can say, yep, it's what it is. I don't want to preempt and people think it's actually a head and shoulder yet. I should have removed it last time. It's a potential head and shoulder, okay? So we need to see what happens on the right-hand side of the screen. If it goes up around here and stays for a little while, then breaks below, we've got a head and shoulders, okay? So this is telling us we really are, again, at tops. That's what it's signaling. Again, can it go higher? Well, there's nothing in here really that tells us it can do that yet. I mean, what you've got, you can have that. I can have to just finesse that line a little bit. Okay, and you can have this at the bottom. As we can leave this line alone as it does the same thing anyway. So you really are making that little triangle at the bottom. Yes, if it breaks on the upside, we'll get a higher price. Is there anything the daily can give us? Now, looking at the daily price, okay, we've got gaps up here again, okay? There's a gap there. So we expect the price to close this gap. Now, if it closes this gap and fulfills it and comes back down, then we can confidently say, you know what, I reckon you might have enough. Personally, I say to anyone, not personal advice, and I've said this before, if the price rallies to this area, I would take my money and run. And I still stick by it, okay? Now, looking at the line here that we put, the line can belong there. It can also belong, the other one I meant to pick, can belong there, all right? It really doesn't matter. That's where it is, a bit lower. That's where it is, okay? This can go a bit higher. Now, because the price, I can go a bit this way more. Okay, so you can see this price closed above the line. It opened here, closed there. You can draw the line like so. So it's in this very tight space. Technically, you can even put it here now. It even belongs there quite comfortably, okay? There's no fast and hard rule. As long as that you can put it high because it's a green bar and enclosed up the top there. So, you know, you're cutting a body, but it's acceptable because it actually is higher and it meets the triangle criteria. That's all that is. Nothing else, okay? So that is still valid. And I'm saying is I believe that there is still some upside because if you looked at the monthly, if it goes back up here, means it's probably at the bottom of that line that we looked at, which is about $1.30. Currently sitting at, we said, at 32.58. And the gap is at around 34.63. There was that room to move that level up higher. So it was $1.30 we said around there, but if you moves more to the right, stays a few more days, that's quite comfortably at $2 anyway. So technically, I say this has still got short-term upside, but overall down, okay? Now, I've spent a lot of time on this one just to explain, but the rest of them will be easier because basically I believe they will be almost the same. National Australia Bank. Again, fairly similar. Horn, if you look like so. Okay, potential making bearish flag here. All right, potentially these three bars, a bearish flag is still going up. Yes, it can go higher. So it fulfills that requirement. Excuse me. Weekly, you can see here's the weekly, and we can do a price target on the upside to the highest body. Just price, and there it is. They're around 35, 36 bucks. Again, if that happens, you can have a head and shoulders on here, but you can see it's also a very large horn, which is also a top reversal pattern, by the way. If we go to a daily, we can see there's the gap around the 36 mark. So anywhere in here closes that gap, that's it. I believe it's going to close that gap also on that one. That's what my belief is. And what we can say now, if you look more data, if I delete this, I can add that. And now, what's this? Well, that's an ascending triangle, okay? The shortest target you can do is basically from here to there to its breakout. Let's go be somewhere here. There's your target. It's pretty close to the same one there, so there you go, 36.90. So out of that pattern, if it breaks to the upside, that's what it is. That's why I keep believing that, and I've been saying that for the past 2 to 3 or 4 weeks, whatever it is. I've been saying I believe those falls, those gaps will be closed because of it. I still maintain that. Oh, there was a question here asked. Sorry, my apologies. Whoops, I'll bring it down here. What's going on? Oh yeah. Is there a triple top in the daily XJO? Thanks. I'll come back to it, Thomas. I remember correctly, if it's within 5%, if each peak, each high at the top is within 5%, it's considered a double top. So I'll look at it again later, but I believe it was within 5%. I'll continue on with the banks at the moment. Okay, that was NAB. How about Westpac? See, again, here's your monthly. It's broken out of this, rising wedge. And look, potentially, here's your bearish flag also. And if it does all that and breaks down, you're going to have a head and shoulder again. Inverse. Oh, sorry, not inverse, what am I saying? A proper head and shoulder. So it would have enough. So if it's there for another 3-4 weeks, that's what we're going to get, okay? So really, there's nothing else we can add to this one. Let's look at the weekly. And we go to the weekly. We've got a gap here. All right, we've put it there. And you can see if this comes up to around the 36 marks, it's got another $1.95, whatever it is to go, 98 cents. Basically, that closes the gap, and that it can go sideways to down from there. Again, looking at the pattern, it's a horn, which again signals a top. Okay, so you got a horn, you could have a potential head and shoulder. So it's got everything. That's what I'm saying is upside is really, really, really minimal. Just look at the daily. All we're going to reconfirm is this gap there. So I would take advantage of it. Again, looking at the daily, it started to make its move to close these gaps. Where's my cropper? I can just extend that and close that off there. Okay, so just retested it. It's still valid. It can still go higher. If it fails, we always say it fails around this level here. Anything's possible, but I think if you see this gap closed, if you got this stock, not personal advice, I would take my money and move. Okay, so that's what I would do. Well, there's nothing else to add to this one also. We'll look at CBA next. Okay, monthly. CBA, as you can see, originally on this rising wedge, you went through it and came back down below. Technically, we can still accept it as a rising wedge, but it's not a clean one, okay? But what we can do, we can have this channel as we clone this bottom support area, and then we cloned it, and that's what it is. What we can see now is that you can see, is this making, I'll just, a bearish flag or pin it. Okay, pin it. So if this breaks below, we're back on the same game again. We've got another bearish move down. And it could be also a shoulder, head, shoulder. And there's your neckline across. So we're getting all these, okay? And again, you'll find as we go to weeklies, we probably see a horn again. Let's have a look. Again, here's your potential flag. There's your target that we said it could go up to. Okay. Is there any gaps on the daily? We'll have a look. Again, there's a shoulder, head, potentially another shoulder. I'm going to remove those shoulders now, the head and shoulder bit, because it's not there yet. We can't really say. I don't want anyone to accidentally think it's there. We're saying it's potential because it's got to break the neckline, and this line at the bottom here is its potential neckline. So I reckon it's got a bit of an up move still. Maybe it's around this red line here, but let's have a look on the daily, see if it gives us any more data. Again, you'll see on the daily, there's the gap. We're looking for a price to this area here. Okay, that's what we're looking at. Price. I think it's very messy. I still believe it will close the gap, especially if that's a hidden shoulders. I'm more than confident it will break the gap. Rarely do I see anything like that leaving a gap and then just continuing its reversal, basically retracement. Then it's full correction change. Rarely do we see that. Rarely, unless I can't remember seeing it actually not closing a gap and then doing a reversal. So I'm reasonably confident that would be the case. Okay, reasonably confident. Okay, I really can't add more than that to this one, CBA. We'll have a look at Macquarie next. MQG. Actually, I haven't looked at this one for a little while, I think. MQG, just go back to here. Well, MQG on a monthly, we hit our target all on the top. Geez, this is really interesting. In a huge channel. Where's the monthly goes? Doesn't give us any more than that now. Just trying to see what it can get us. No, I can't say much other than it's in the channel. Let's look at the... Oh, well. Well, clearly this is a huge double top here. Okay. It also, the pattern that it was doing is an ascending triangle. It's literally on the line. I mean, technically speaking, you can actually modify this a little bit, to be honest with you. Regardless, we can go even do that. It clearly is inside this triangle. If it breaks the triangle, we said it can go to that. If it breaks below the triangle, it will go down to that. What do? Nothing. You trade what you see, not what you think. You need a clear break, and it's going to close above it. Excuse me. So you really can't do any more than that. So it's clearly got to break above or below to take any action on this. And if the other banks are showing, yes, they've got a little bit of upside because of the gap that needs to be closed, but overall they're making pattern to the downside, what do you think this will do? Yes, it can break above it and then retrace. It is very possible. I have no idea. But as it stands at this point, this is considered a double top. Okay? It has touch there and certainly there. So there's more than enough data to say that as a double top. In fact, we have anything within this point to where we are is 16 weeks. Actually, we really prefer 22 weeks on this. So interesting. So usually, ideally, we expect 6 months, 26 weeks. 22 weeks is acceptable. 16 weeks, I thought it was actually around the 22. But 16 weeks, it takes serious look at it. But I would say then this is more sideways for a while till there's clear direction of elsewhere. So it's not something that I'd be looking for a $90 move. Unless it clearly breaks and closes above there, then I might see a trade to that. But I would say more sideways to down based on the other banks. Daily, we originally had a break above or below, and as you can see, got nothing much. And I would say this becomes pretty useless right now. Let's have a look. There's nothing you can do, really. Let me look at it. Look at it. There's really nothing you can do. Nothing you can do. These become ridiculous now. They're useless. No, the only clear direction you really got in this is the weekly. You don't have anything else here at this moment. So I'd stick to the weekly analysis, not the daily. Daily's directionless. Okay, that was MQG. Just mark it off my list. Okay, now there's some stocks I haven't really heard of before, so let's have a look. There is also Rio and WOW I've got to do, but start at MNS. Wow, interesting. Let's have a look. Now this is monthly MNS. Now there, and what would happen if that dropped to there and raised that one up? Well, this line based from there obeys the rules better than the other way, so I'm assuming that's where it is now. So we can clearly say that's hit a top resistance point, hence this change. If you want any more clear directions for it to go higher than that, you really, for it to go, say, to there, you really need for it to clearly break above this before you can consider anything higher. There's no particular trend line you can add here. There's nothing the monthly can give you other than what you've got. On the weekly, what you can have is that. Now, the first target out of that, and you got also a flag there, by the way. I'll draw that first. So there's a flag there. Sorry if it's not the best quality at the moment. We'll just take a target. There's your first target from that. From the flag, however, is to that. Now, when you get a target like that, you can get higher targets. Example, the next target would be from, actually, no, we did that one, didn't we? Did I do that? Oh, there, sorry. I didn't do that one. Did I do that one twice? More clearly, more conservative than the other. So I'll take that one off. Okay, I'll take that off. Okay. So 2 targets. I'll do that with the second one again. From here to there to there. Okay, there's the 2 targets. Now, if we look, that hit that. Now, technically, we can actually do a target from here and to the next break. But for this to be true, you need to look at your previous, and if everybody can see this resistance line, it has to close above there before we can move to that level, okay, to the next higher level. Because if the target after that, if it breaks above that, you'd be looking from here, and there, all right? Now, that's the most I can get out of it, okay, literally. Now, but to do that, we must clear that weekly resistance point. Now, go to a daily now, if it gives us anything else. I know it looks ballistic. Again, all the daily is going to, looking at this, is just reconfirm what I've just said that before, you know. And basically you're, okay. And that's the extremes, the tails. If you go conservatively, it's actually here, here, and there's the second one on that. So I would be trusting, obviously, because the brick wall, you already crossed it. Again, look at the weekly or the monthly. You already hit the brick wall. So when you hit that brick wall, I'd be getting the hell out of there. I wouldn't be worried trying to squeeze every single cent. Now, if it does then something that closes above this point, then I will reconsider it, how to go further from it. But I want to see that before we do anything else. Okay, that was MNS. Next one is OML. Oops, I did that. OML. Look, what I can see on the monthly data, there's not enough data. There's nothing much I can do about it. On the weekly, even the weekly, I don't know where to start drawing from. There's just not enough data to do anything other than I can say, you know what, there, and oops, maybe there, but there really isn't anything you can really do about it. There's nothing. I'll have a look at daily. There's nothing I can do about that. I mean, even there's no. Yeah, does it belong there? Not very good. Daily. Yeah. Even daily, sorry to say. Look, maybe an ascending triangle. Maybe a bullish flag. But I really can't give you any more than that. I mean, not very clean, I have to say. Not very clean. I don't have an answer. It's one of those stocks, unfortunately. I can't really say anything. Sorry about that. I'll go to the next one you requested. Bell. On the monthly, again, I can't do much, but let's have a look at everything on the weekly. There's not that much data again on these. Other than accelerated trends, I don't know. Clone. Maybe a channel. There really isn't much. Daily. That's the target. Well, for the pattern that he gave us, it gave us a target and sure it reached it. But again, I don't know. I just don't have an answer here. Again, I'm sorry, I just don't have any other answer. It's not giving me anything. It is still an accelerated trend, if I can tell. There, clone. That's, well, it's definitely in a channel. But if the channel breaks, I can tell you that, if the channel breaks, it is over. Is the channel break? I've got no idea, but that's all I can get out of it. I really don't have anything else. That was Bell. GEM. GEM. Oh, what's GEM? G8 Education Limited. Okay. Well, as clearly the monthly shows the rising wedge, broken through, it's falling away. There's a pattern. There's a target. We've just hit it. What else have we got? Hit the target. Let's go have a look at weekly more clearly, I think. Inner channel. And what this still tells us, no more than what it did last time. We hit the bottom target. We're still in a downtrending channel. And there's nothing to say it's not going to continue any further, especially if the rest of the market does it. There is no other patterns that I can see we can utilize here. Let's have a look at daily, I think. There's nothing there I can really add to the weekly at this point. Okay. That's hitting this tail, but now we have a solid edge point there. Let's have a look. Was there? What our size is on? Yeah. And we go like that. Now, why did I go there? In fact, actually, I got to go one different. I didn't see. I'm sorry. It's up the top here. That's the closing price, just there, touching the top of that, hitting the top of that. All we can really say is the trend, the downtrend is getting tighter. It's respecting this line, okay? We can see that. Can I clone that? Would it work? No. Excuse me. If it closes below this week, we really should have more of a down. That's what I can say. If it creates a new low, but the thing is, this is the actual low. If it goes lower than that, it's as part of a 5% swing from here, then we possibly can do this. In other words, it's from here, narrow to here, narrowing again to this. So, and this, if it's there from there, we can probably say everything is getting tighter and tighter for some decision to come, okay? And if it's going down, you would think maybe it would reverse up, but time will tell. This is daily, so anything's possible. We might just break down even further. We really don't have any targets to do or anything like this at the moment, so we really have to see what it's going to do first before we say, let's get on a ride, up or down. And that was GEM. AFJ. Whoa. Monthly, we can see there's not that much data. On a weekly, we had a consolidation that gave us a target, which reached the target and below that. And in fact, they had an intra week a lot lower than that, but recovered fairly quickly. What we do see at the end here, I'll just open it up. It's actually the other way, sorry. Potential pennant. I go from here to the body to a breakout. Target. Based on that, that's what I'd be looking at. I move to that level. Interesting here. Had a gap here and closed it on the daily. Now, what I'm going to do, this is not the cleanest thing either, by the way, what I'm about to do. Okay. conservative because it's not the cleanest anyway. Whew, volatility is so high, look how the gap is. So that's a potential target. Yeah, not really nice, I have to say. Not very good. And target. So I would be looking at something in there, which pretty much confirms the weekly, I'd say. And that was AFJ. But they don't look very nice trades, even though it sort of met that requirement there. It's not, if I was me, I'd find something else to trade. AMP. Monthly. We had a potential flag there, but when we did this candle wasn't where it was. So right now that is not a flag. Okay, I just want to make that pretty clear. And they can be removed. What we can do, let me have a look. I think we can do this. It's an up move. What happens if I clone it? Would it do any good? Yep. And that also can be extended. Like so. So this at the top at the moment, this price target is irrelevant. Okay. So what we're telling us, we're in this channel, and if you look from the bottom line now and the top line, we are in a triangle and tightening up. So something's got to give. When? That's a good question. Let's go down to weekly. We had a consolidation here and a target on the consolidation, which we've hit. So done its job. We had a trend, a channel from this point all the way from here, and basically kicked to the upside. So target met, we can remove it now, the target's been met, and we can take that away. And what we're really looking at is a double top potential. Okay, now that's irrelevant anymore because it broke to the downside, not the upside. There were targets for both sides. So the bottom one was met, obviously, not the top. And this is what we've got. Now, if we draw a line here, like so, okay, now we have a huge consolidation. That means if this comes up here, or even within 5% of that, or even potentially 5% above that, and then comes back down and breaks below, this is a major, major double top, okay? So if we have a look what we were looking at with the banks, okay, what was it telling us? They were near the top, potential head and shoulder. Had a rising wedge that broke already, which tells the top. They are inside a horn, which is really a top, okay? Obviously, this is also financial services, AMP. So it's also part of the same family. Maybe not the same, this is more insurance, but it's in financial services, and usually when they all get hit together. So for me, I'll be looking at that. If I am on the upside on this, and I'll look at the daily shortly, I'll be getting the hell out of there. Let's look at daily. And again, let's continue on the theme. Let's extend the lines. Okay. Extend, and let's delete the up target because it broke on the downside, not the upside. Broke on the down. Here it is. That was the flag target, and now it stopped because that was its support here, and it didn't hit its targets. Eventually broke below, and sure enough, here's its target. It met it, and it's on the way at the upside. We can extend this line now, because this can be a huge, look, if we go to here, This is daily, I understand. So, but on a daily, that's 1 touch, 2 touch. This is close enough to be 3 touches, 4 touches. And you know what? If that hits there, it'll be 5 touches. That's a lot of resistance. Now, let's not get conned into this, okay? Now, this is what I mean by that. We can say that and that. And we can say this is a potential flag. And you know what? An up move is well and truly above that. In fact, 22 cents above it or so, right, from a minimum perspective. Because that's around the $6.82, $7.82, that's 20 cents. And you might say, that's fantastic money. But if this breaks above here, it's already at 669, say 670, and this is 6, so you're chasing 12 cents. I'm not saying don't take it, okay? But maybe what you got to look at is a different type of trade. Maybe you should be looking at this on a 60-minute basis or something, because these are good trades if they occur. If we have further look, where is it? What was this? Okay, and that means the target is from here to here to here. And guess what? Tells us the same. If the price manages to get there and then reverse back down, it's still within that 5% rule that basically says that's still part of the same top. So I'm not saying you cannot do it. All I'm saying is just trade it very carefully. And if this is at a major top again, you certainly don't want to be caught out. That's the only point I make on this. Okay, that's AMP. Next one is we're doing Rio. Well, there's the triangle. It's clearly closed and broken below. We can target out of that. First target. There's your target. Well, it's closing below, so it's there. That's what it is. If you go to a weekly, and again, let's extend the line. And let's finesse it a little bit. We'll put that there. Look, that's really acceptable, but it also can be long realistically. You can also be long to there. All right, because remember, this bar opened here, closed back above there. And that really validates it even better, because that gives it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 touches and a break. And in fact, what it does now, if you look at it from here, this perspective, just remove that thing there so I can see better. It gives you a lovely pennant. And look, because this bows a lot, you can take it from there as an extreme target, but I would take it from here conservatively. So that means you can go from here down to here and to there. And there's your target. Now, isn't that what we did on the monthly? Around the 43, 44 mark. And what did they say? 42, 45. So 43, 44 is right in the middle of both. So that's fine. It's good. So weekly tells us 43, 44. Monthly tells us 43 pretty much, 42.90 to 45.20. So what does daily tell us? Okay. On a daily, we can't treat this like a flag, okay? We just can't. Now, because this could break either way, you can't use this as a flag because it's too close to this. So what we can do is do 2 targets, one up, one down. On the upside and on the downside. Oh, sorry, just stuffed that up there. Don't know why I did that there. There you go. Two targets. Which way is it going to break? Looking at the weekly and monthly stuff, it really should break on the downside, not the upside, okay? Now, if this breaks on the upside, it can fail and stop at this point. And if it did that tomorrow, let's say, and then it's back down here, even though this pattern on the daily is useless, it'll still look pretty good on the weekly and the monthly, by the way. Okay, so you need to take that into consideration. So that's how we look at this, two ways, okay, up and down. You shouldn't care how you trade, but remember where the weeklies and the monthlies are. So the probability, you really should be looking to the downside, not the upside. Okay, the next one is WOW. Now, we can see we broke below that. There's a flag, there's a target. This pattern is still valid, by the way, okay? So this target is still valid. Is it making another target? In other words, is this going to do this? Potentially, this could be another flag, bearish flag for lower price. Again, also, if this goes and consolidates for a while, a number of weeks here, and then comes back down, look, this is where it can be a double top. There's enough data to say double top. And if it does that, we might even create not the very good head and shoulder, but a very messy one at that if it is. So, but time will tell. Let's go to a weekly. Not very nice. Yeah, not very nice, I have to say. If we clone that, no, it's pretty useless. Well, if we extend these lines, we are in a huge channel. I'll delete this one now. I reckon it's pretty useless, not the best. I think that validates it better. So basically what we're saying, the distance from here, the distance from there is exactly the same. It's a parallel channel, and it pretty much stopped and bounced off that channel. Basically, it really does say we're still in a downtrend here. I really, on the weekly at least, I can't really add any more value to this than what I've just said. I'm just going to check one more thing out here. Well, just one sec. Well, that's interesting. Oh, no, it's not. I just didn't see that. I cut that one there, unfortunately. That closed above, so I can't really do that. I could have done it on that one, but like that. Well, I'll leave it in there just for now. In other words, that would have been high, so I can't really do that. No. So just going from this point, I can cut this one. Oh, no, I can't because that closed. What am I doing? My apologies. I couldn't cut that because it closed up there. What am I doing? Sorry. No, that's all you can do. Sorry about that. No, that's it. Can't add any more on the weekly, I'm sorry. We'll have to wait and see. It's not a stock that I'd like to be in. Look, it's pretty messy. On a daily basis, I can see there's a huge gap here. So I would not be surprised if it somehow comes here to close this point. And clone that. No, that's not good either. It really is not a very nice one, I must say. That's not bad. So definitely a reversal here. And if I to target out of this reversal, that would be my target, which is already reached. Yeah, it's within the channel, but again, if I was to trade this, I would be waiting for a decent pattern to enter the market on it. I can't see the cleanest pattern here, I'm sorry. Although I'm looking at this huge gap here, huge gap. And I'm trying to understand why there's the huge gap here. I don't know, to be honest. This gap. Why is this gap? I mean, the dividend's here, not there. So obviously some bad news by the looks of it. But I think it's trying to close this gap. Again, if you're lucky enough and this runs to this gap area and to close this, I'd be trying to get the hell out of there as fast as I can. Looking at this, because looking at it as an overall, look at the monthly, there's a lower target anyway of around $24, $25 regardless. So I would be looking at a lower price. If there's a gap close, I'll take advantage of it. I'm sorry I can't give any more on that one also. I'll do the Aussie, I'll do the XJO and then I'll do the Aussie dollar. Just someone asked that question before. So let's just do it, just double check that about the tops, I think was said. Is there triple top in the daily? 1, 2, 3, absolutely. But I have to point out that daily triple tops are nowhere near as powerful as when you talk about weeklies. Real reversal patterns occur on weeklies and monthlies, okay? That's when they really occur. Now, as it happened, we had a top there, but the truth is, if we have a look at the XJO, all right, let's have a look. When you look at this, this is a channel, there's 1, 2, 3 major tops there. Regardless, if you look at this pattern here, we can see, you know, there's an ascending triangle that failed. You know, that's about the extent of what you can do on the daily. Okay, if you add that up, those tops, it's an ascending triangle. I know we're looking at a weekly, but that's what it would be. Okay, now a real reversal is a weekly double top or triple top. These are too close to be for weeklies. However, if you look at this point and this point, and if it does another point somewhere here, anywhere up to this point, and then comes down, and that could be a number of weeks, you know, probably as a minimum, I would think it'll be maybe up to 6 weeks, 7 weeks, maybe 8, 9 even, or a bit more, because, you know, it's going to take a little bit. So you need a few months at least, maybe, or a bit more even. Then if you see that, you're going to have a serious head and shoulder pattern, and then that breaks the neckline. You're talking about a major reversal, okay? If you look at this weekly and you take this as an accelerated trend and you take this as the top also, this is also like a rising wedge. I mean, it's not as tight as a real, you know, one of the other ones, but it still can be considered because it has had 1, 2, 3, 4 touches. Now, still closing from the top and still narrowing at the bottom. And if you get a head and shoulder on top of that, you got a double whammy. Excuse me. So that's how I would be actually treating that. I hope that helped. Now, Aussie dollar, AUD equals. Now, what a ride on the Aussie dollar, eh? What a ride. Now, I'm going to just say something well and truly. For those that know what the analysis that I used to do in the past, I had a variety of other tools that I used. And I did cycle analysis. And I can honestly, doing the calculations, my cycle analysis and showed that should be a bottom around between 31.75 and 32.56. Now, I think the Aussie dollar got to, where's my crosshair? 32.32. Okay, and what I had is a 156-week cycle closing at that point, 104-week cycle closing at that point. I had a 52-week cycle that came in at that point, in that range that I just said, between 31.75 and 32.5, in that area there. You know, give or take a hair, and a hair in this thing could be, 30, 40 pips, by the way. But it's saying that in the 52-week cycle, the 26-week cycle, the 13-week cycle, they're all closed within that, say, 80, 90 pip range. All right, they all come in at that point. So what that tells me, if anyone thinks that's going lower, I don't believe so. Now, if you look, in saying that, if you have a look at the monthly, okay, we had these lows. Okay, yes, it broke and closed below it. And that's, I must say, it scared the daylights out of me when it did that. And I was saying, why in the hell would it do that? Why? And then I looked at a few other bits of analysis, and I have seen a few times, the old saying was, if you draw a trend line, you should put almost like a fluorescent color on either side of the trend line, 2-3% on either side. And because technically a price can come within 2-3% of the range. In fact, that's maybe extreme, but I wouldn't maybe go that much. But the saying was 2 or 3% on either side. Like if you had like a fluorescent color, it can technically come in that range. And what I saw is basically just that. And I was watching it as it started to collapse, and I was saying to my wife, I said, I reckon it's bottomed out. All these cycles are saying it's bottomed out. I would have hyperventilated if it was long when it did that. But I said, if you're ballsy enough, you probably buy up. In fact, I was talking to one of our other clients, Victor, which is currently online at the moment listening to this. Just was it yesterday or the day before I was talking to him? I got a blank at the moment. And I said, Vic, I reckon this bastard's bottomed out. And that was, I think it was yesterday lunchtime or before lunchtime, I can't remember, Vic. And I said, look, the analysis is showing it's bottomed out. And within our conversation, probably in an hour, 2 hours from our conversation, that's when we saw that strong rally on the upside, and that gave me extra confidence. So look, there's the pattern that we got on the monthly. We can see potential bearish flag, and yes, it shows lower, okay, without the question. But this is a monthly one, okay, and I might be totally wrong, and you might trade what you see, not what you think. But like I said, I've done these other analysis in the past, and I spent a lot of time looking at and dissecting it, and it tells me that's what it is. We are at the bottom of the cycle. And if anything, I'm not saying it's not going to test that price again, but I think it's going to be more maybe sideways in a very wide range. That's what I'm betting it would happen. Now, I know, looking at my list who's logged on right now, listening to this webinar, that's what I'm saying, and I know there's quite a few currency traders in regards to that. So I'm just saying, be cautious. Now, if I was just using pattern analysis, be honest with you, I'd be looking for a position to re-enter for a short, just looking at that, if I didn't know anything about my cycles, okay? Because this can change. You wonder sometimes why patterns fail. Well, I'm saying might be the reason why this might fail. I believe in my own self that that's what it is. Now, if I look at my weekly, you can see a parallel. This is a parallel channel. This is just taking the tops, cloning, doing the bottom, and you can see pretty good. And you're saying, geez, what happened there? But have a look. This week's not over yet, by all means. But if this closes above, means it's quite potent that, okay, this is what's happening. Okay, quite potent. Now, if we have a look on the weekly here, what do we got? A bearish flag. Let's do a target out of this bearish flag. And here's your target, okay? We hit it. Now, I would normally say to you, you know what? This is the support line, your brick wall. Trade it only to your brick wall. Yes, it went below and hit the target, but it's back above it. Okay, that's what I would normally say to you. So that's telling me already that's back above it. And if this holds for another 2-3 weeks in that range, I believe we're going to get a very, very strong rally to the upside. Means there could be hundreds of pips on the upside. Okay, so I guess what I'm saying is don't be too blind to jump and take a risk to the downside. Sometimes it pays to be that little bit extra patient and potentially lose some trades, then gamble on it and then really lose a lot more. You know, what I'm saying is if this holds now and it starts to go back up, back above this line here on the monthly, back above there, I think we're going to see a rally potentially all the way to this line here. All right. There's a lot of picks there, folks. I'm telling you, this area up here is around the 80 mark. And if this is sitting above there at 74, there's a potential 600 pip move. I'm not saying it's going to occur as fast as it went down. It might take a while. But what I'm saying is there's potentially a lot of trades. Okay. So it might go up here, then fall back below, back up, fall below. And this might be the bottom line that we'll be looking at. Or in fact, this line here might be the bottom line. So I would wait till I see it back above here, then that would confirm what I'm saying, I guess. All right. So strongly recommend that you do that. So we've done the weekly, we've done the monthly. Let's have a look at the daily. And again, we can see it now consolidating in this area here. And what happens if it makes a, in fact, let's just see this, all right? What would happen here if over the next 2 weeks, 1 or 2 weeks, it does that? Okay, something like that. Could be a bit lower. I got to lower this line. But if it does that and we extend this line a little bit, okay, like so, yes, it's got to break above there, but what you will have, the point I'm trying to make, like I said, it's not going to occur all in one go, but there's your 75, 76 cents mark. Okay. So I'm saying is just get ready for it. This is what I believe is transpiring, what's going to happen. Yes, there's going to be a bit of brick wall there, but once it's set up, then what you've got, if it does break back above that, potentially you got that. I'm only going to estimate that a bit lower. There's your 79 mark if it does out of that pattern. All right, that's the point I'm trying to make. Now I'll just delete that because I don't want anyone to think this is what's happening yet. Okay, so I'll just leave the top line there. I won't leave the bottom one yet because we've got to see what the pattern's going to make there. But again, when we look at this pattern, the daily, we can now make this tighter, okay? A small reversal. So trade what you see, not what you think, as we always say, but trade very carefully at this point because usually at major bottoms, and I believe this is where we are with the Aussie dollar, we are at a major bottom. And I think we're going to see a reversal, and we probably see sideways for a while, and then I expect to see quite a few wide ranges. Remember what happened on, let's go to the monthly, what we saw all this here. I expect not quite the same, but maybe something similar to the bottom. And I think we are at the bottoms of the Aussie dollar. Fundamentally, I know the Reserve Bank wants it around 70. Look, we're not that far from it. Let's be realistic. And maybe that's all it can do. So be very, very careful. At this point, we are on a huge major trend here, regardless. I don't know. That's pretty much my entire list, actually. I hope it's been fruitful for all of you. Just remember, if you want anything specifically analysed or on any specific way, you're going to have to let me know. I will only do what I can do, what I'm assuming I can do as part of my license. But if I can somehow do a bit more, I will. I will be doing Wednesday's webinars for a little bit longer. It might be for another 2 more times before I switch back to Thursday due to my own personal circumstance. But I will do my best. If you want to hang around for a bit longer, I'm going to stop the filming of this webinar, but somebody asked me to do something on the options, how to access a couple of the tools. I'm just going to do those. So I know there's quite a few people on there at the moment, so listening to this. So there's only, I think, 2 people that were interested in this part. So it's up to you if you want to. You're more than welcome. So, but I will stop recording. So for the rest that will depart, I wish you all the best. I'll see you in a fortnight, hopefully, and have a safe and prosperous 2 weeks. Thank you so much.